それではお時間となりましたので、これよりAISUM&TRAN
The time has come to start the collaboration session. We will be taking up the topic of digital mobility in the new normal era. This will be a panel discussion. First of all, I would like to introduce the speakers to you. Mr. Chris Ballinger, co-founder and CEO of Mobility Open Blockchain Initiative, MOBI. He will be appearing by video. Next, Mr. Yuki Saji, CEO of Boldly. He will be participating remotely. Next, Mr. Hiroshi Nishijima, CEO of VIA Mobility Japan. Please start. And I would like to introduce the moderator to you, Mr. Sanshiro Fukao, board member of Mobility Open Blockchain Initiative, MOBI, Senior Research Fellow of Itochi Research Institute. Mr. Fukao, please. I would like to ask Mr. Fukao to moderate this session. Thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Fukao. In this session, this is a collaboration between AISUM, TRAN, and CEATEC. We'll be talking about mobility, smart city, as well as human-centric. We will be introducing the state-of-the-art information. Time is very limited for this session, limited to 40 minutes. I would like to introduce the schedule. I would like to ask everybody to introduce themselves for about 20 seconds each. And after that, MOBI, VIA Japan, and Boldly will be making a presentation on their company as well as their business. The recent information will be shared. After Saji-san's presentation is made, we will spend the remaining 30 minutes, amongst the three in terms of discussion. Without further ado, we have Chris Ballinger appearing by videotape from Los Angeles. So we would like to start off with Chris's presentation first regarding MOBI. In mobility, blockchain, the standardization as well as diffusion is what they have been promoting. In 2005, May, they have been established as an NPO. Now I'd like to present to you a co-founder and CEO of MOBI, Mr. Chris Ballinger. Please show the videotape.
Thank you for the opportunity to present today to AISUM. Vehicles are becoming autonomous. Everybody talks about autonomous driving. But vehicles are becoming autonomous in another, maybe even more important way. They're becoming autonomous economic agents. Autonomous transactions with other vehicles and infrastructure is actually much more easy to implement than autonomous driving. We've called this new vehicle transaction ecosystem the new economy of movement. I want to start with the basics. Vehicles are connected. Mobile phones and native connections allow vehicles to communicate with each other and infrastructure. These connections, along with the introduction of new sensors and computing power, are turning vehicles into nodes on the IoT. IoT turns products into services. AI and machine learning, which are being introduced into vehicles, allow them to pursue complex goals, including autonomous driving and autonomous transactions and profit maximization. Blockchain allows vehicles to have identities. Blockchain is a tamper-proof ledger which transactions can be recorded chronologically, publicly, or privately. Why blockchain? Blockchain brings 5 unique capabilities: digital twins, micropayments, the ability to trust shared data, privacy and protection of that data, and the ability to build in incentives to change behavior. Together, they create trust between unrelated parties in decentralized marketplaces. Trust in decentralized communities is a huge problem. Identity, provenance, and authenticity is already a major problem in our digital world. 60% of internet traffic is already automatic, coming from bots, and 60% of that is malicious. A new approach is needed. Blockchain allows the use of new W3C standards for decentralized public key infrastructure. Mobi uses these standards in creation, these new protocols and W3 standards in the creation of its standards and in its products. Blockchain is not a standalone technology. Instead, the convergence of many technologies along with blockchain are permitting anything to have a secure identity, to be intelligent, and to securely interact and transact with other vehicles and things. We call this the new economy of movement, a multi-quadrillion yen opportunity for connected vehicles and infrastructure, exchanging data and payments. This is a simple architectural overview of what we're building, our technology stack. At the bottom, we have the standards that are being developed in Mobi, a global nonprofit industry consortium. In the middle, the Open Mobility Network, a protocol-agnostic network for sharing and exchanging and monetizing data and mobility services. At the top, we have a B2C platform for distributed applications. It's built on blockchain and is privacy preserving. The top layer, the B2C platform, uses a familiar map-based interface, but it's revolutionary in the way it's built on blockchain to enable trust and data privacy. The key is the link of the vehicle ID to location in space and time, which allows the creation of a trusted trip and the ability to pay marginal cost as you go for infrastructure and services, including roads, carbon, congestion, insurance, and much more. On the left-hand side, you can see what the interface looks like and some examples of the kinds of things that can be monetized using the platform. Two vehicles, for example, one an internal combustion engine, one an electric vehicle, can have different charging. The road usage charge can be different depending on the vehicle weight. The vehicle can get zero emissions credits, and much more can be charged. Aside from the vehicles, other forms of transportation, walking, scooters, bike, can be charged or incentivized in other ways. Whole trips, multimodal trips, can be put together using multiple forms of transportation, using common payment gateways and common identities while preserving privacy. An important example is the payment for infrastructure. Infrastructure is a common good in the economic sense, in that it's impractical or impossible to charge marginal cost with today's technology. As a result, about $26 trillion of stranded capital in infrastructure, excess demand, and misallocation of resources globally. It's a huge problem for governments who must build and maintain that road infrastructure without any good way to fund it or to manage demand. It manifests itself in underinvestment, in rationing through congestion rather than the price system, and in misallocation of the costs. Many big cities are trying new congestion, use, and pollution charging, but with limited success using today's technology. The addressable market is enormous, $26 trillion of unmonetizable assets, this road infrastructure, that will become monetizable with the new technology. It's similar to what happened in the hotel industry with Airbnb and the taxi industry in Uber. With Uber, the unmonetized resource was the empty seat. With Airbnb, it was the spare bedroom. In each case, a new technology came along which allowed that unmonetizable resource to produce a predictable cash flow and to be charged. That's where Ceatopia comes in. We've been thinking about this for a while. It's nice to see this year that many governments and transit agencies are catching on to the opportunity. In the US, the Federal Highway Administration sought proposals early this year for blockchain applications for vehicle coordination and payment for infrastructure. In the EU, there's been a lot of attention to programmable money, and the use cases, the primary use cases that have been presented are around mobility and payment for infrastructure. In South Korea, highways will soon have blockchain-powered toll payments nationwide, and 1 million South Koreans already have blockchain driver's licenses. So in summary, the convergence of multiple rapidly maturing technologies permits vehicles to have secure identities, to be intelligent, and to transact securely with other things. Blockchain and infrastructure pay per use is a marriage made in heaven. Infrastructure owners and operators are sitting on a gold mine, a $26 trillion gold mine. Ceatopia is a blockchain-based privacy-preserving coordination and payment platform for infrastructure monetization in the new economy of movement. Vehicles as autonomous economic agents will make machine-to-machine and pay how you drive payment systems for road use and congestion charging possible. Blockchain applications for such payment systems will revolutionize infrastructure, financing, and help cities build sustainable urban mobility. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to appeal about mobility. There are 3 points I would like to share with you in this regard. Blockchain can be used for commerce, and it will lead to the early monetization of this area. And the other area is that the blockchain will be one of the enabling foundation technologies for the smart city. Thirdly, as what I would like to present in the Mobi's presentation, as already mentioned today, is that with major cities of the world, Mobi is engaged in discussions. Blockchain will provide a revolution in the finance of transport because tolls can be collected for the use of road infrastructure. And for appropriate transportation, tokens, encrypted or virtual currency can be provided. It is a reward that will be provided. AI, IoT, and 5G state-of-the-art technologies will enable such a process. By so doing, vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure, autonomous settlement will be enabled. It's machine-to-machine payment is what we are referring to. These technologies are being promoted. We are making efforts toward the standardization. By utilizing this, the usage as well as ownership will be reflected in the automobile vehicle taxation as well. Digital license is being discussed in Japan as well, and the digital car registration, ID structure elements, and people's digital ID can be connected. By so doing, it will expedite the establishment of smart city. That is all in terms of MOBI. The remaining time will be the discussion with Boldly and Via Mobility Japan. Even though I mentioned the schedule, I forgot to take the time for self-introduction. So therefore, I would like to ask Mr. Nishijima, CEO of Via Mobility Japan, to talk about yourself for about 15 seconds. And after that, I understand there will be an explanation of your business as well, using the PowerPoint presentation. And then I'd like to ask Mr. Saji to follow to do his pitch. So first of all, Mr. Nishijima. Thank you very much, Mr. Fuko. My name is Nishijima, the CEO of Via Mobility Japan. I'm very happy to be here today. Today, the theme is digital mobility and smart city. And this is a business domain of VIA. So let me introduce our company to you and talk about the global trends as well as the trends here in Japan. Let me introduce the VIA company. As shown here, Daniel Ramot. He's from Israel. He was the founder. He established a company in 2012 in New York of the United States for transportation company was being pursued. In 2019, VIA and Mori Building started this business. From April of this year, I joined VIA. Prior to that, for 4 years, I was working in Grab, which is the car hail company. And also in Indonesia, I was involved in operations as well as for Southeast Asia. Safety and quality technologies operations were areas that I was responsible for. And then I joined VIA. Therefore, I would like to bring to them my experience and to digitalize further the Japanese transportation system and traffic system. We refer to ourselves as a transit tech company. I'm sure you know about fintech and insurance tech. It's typically the type of business you refer to for a startup company with tech at the end. What is included here is finance and other existing industries are to be revolutionized using technology. In our case, it is transit. So the transportation of people as well as goods. Digitalization as higher efficiency is what we hope to achieve. We have 150 projects all over the world. Let me introduce them to you. It is software utilizing our technology to be provided to operators, mass transit companies, taxis, buses, and municipal governments. That is what we are providing. What is supporting this is the 350 engineers in our company. They're based mainly in Israel. With their engineering capabilities, we can support the transportation mobility of people. So let me talk about the types of solutions provided by our 350 engineers. These are only examples. Please refer to this slide. To the left-hand top is on-demand public transportation. This is our most focused area, most important business for us. In a nutshell, I'm sure you know the taxi hail application. You set up the application, set the destination, and the taxi will come to for you. And we will do the same using buses. Enabled by our technologies, the bus will come to the house. But it is a bus shuttle, so you cannot dominate that. It will go to other people's houses for efficient transportation of people. So it's the convenience of the taxi and also the service of public bus can be enabled by our technology. Japanese example will be presented later. Utilizing this technology, we can expand our business further. For example, welfare, elderly care, dealing with the wheelchairs. If wheelchair service is necessary, we can match it with the vehicles that are enabled. In the Western countries, school buses can be reserved by the parents, and the parents are able to track where their child is in the transportation. MaaS is also provided, a mobility as service, and autonomous driving area. Or enabled taxi and buses needs the routing as well. And hailing service is required. We can manage that. Last mile delivery is also very important, especially under the COVID-19 pandemic. Needs are increasing when people move. We are increasingly seeing cases where products are delivered to people, so our service can be utilized for such services delivery. So let me talk about the prevailing trends in Japan. This is something that we feel that is actually occurring. In terms of public transportation, digitalization is being accelerated. There had been the context of the smart city, and in that context, transportation digitalization was necessary as well. But with the advent of the COVID-19, the use of public transportation has declined significantly. But we cannot stop public transportation. Even with the demand decreasing, we must maintain public transportation. That means a higher efficiency will be required. This is an urgent task. Utilizing digital, utilizing software, we can provide innovation in this area. Let me give you an example. In Chino City of Nagano Prefecture, the mayor Imai is exerting strong leadership to promote the super city realization. On-demand transportation that I talked about earlier is a major pillar. So regional strategy division has been established for this purpose. We are currently conducting a demonstration test. We are providing support in this project. In the transportation area, in transit, digitalization, as well as utilization of software, are areas where people feel that we are lagging behind. That is not the case with the super city realization as well as with COVID-19. If anything, it is being accelerated. I was talking to a country manager in Germany yesterday, and in Germany it is being expedited at tremendous speed. Stuttgart and Mannheim, Budapest. In these major cities, people in the 30s, 40s, and 30, 40, and 100 units of bus are being operated by municipal governments. So this is a trend in the world today. I'm looking forward to a good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nishijima. We will have a discussion after Mr. Saji's presentation. So, CEO of Boldly, Mr. Saji, please introduce yourself and introduce the business of your company. Mr. Saji is in Osaka, participating from Osaka TRAN, and last year CEATEC. He was a panelist alongside with me. He has the new normal presentator since last year. Can you hear me? Yes, we can. So Nishijima, Mr. Fukao, thank you for inviting me. As Mr. Fukao introduced, I am in Osaka. Who am I? I used to run SB Drive to implement autonomous driving, but the name of the company has been changed to Boldly. Boldly. Bold mean bold characters. So utilizing autonomous driving, we want to make the local transportation big and bold and robust. For the very first time, the car without wheels has received the vehicle identification number. So I'd like to introduce the car. If you ever go to Kansai area, please take a look at this. Mitsui, Panasonic, and Banpaku exhibition, other private companies are sponsors to organize this demonstration. I will let you see the internal, inside. There is no driving seat, no wheel. That is actually not needed. This is full-fledged autonomous driving car. And it's not just in Osaka. In Tokyo as well, you would also have an opportunity to see this car. We have a relay from Haneda Airport. Haneda Innovation City was set up close to the airport recently, and the very first autonomous driving bus has been implemented already. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., we operate this autonomous driving bus. It's free of charge. You do not have to pay any fare to get on board this bus. So that concludes my presentation. This will be a very interesting discussion. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saji-san. So I think that was a very bold, it's like TV shopping. So let's pursue the discussions now. Time is very limited, so it is going to be very quick. Today, Nishima-san, Saji-san, please try to promote your services and products as much as possible. That's also an important objective. There is one major question that I'd like to pose to you, and I think it might be it. About we are now facing a COVID-19 pandemic. The case and mass, the next generation business environment is subject to headwind today. But on the other hand, a new normal are being spoken of. And in your business, I'm sure you must have had new realizations, new insight must have been gained. So please talk about something optimistic in the new normal that you have realized. So that is how I'd like to proceed. I'd like to first of all talk about, ask Mr. Nishijima to talk about. I understand that in the Chino city of the Nagano Prefecture, could you elaborate further on this project? Thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier, with the COVID-19 pandemic, what has come to the fore is that public transportation demand is declining. This is the first and foremost starting point. There was the drive toward the smart city. And I'm sure in a certain area there have been a slowdown. But in terms of public transportation, with the declining demand, efficient response is a challenge that must be overcome. And that is being driven by digitalization. Even with the COVID-19, there is a headwind. But the people involved in public transportations are bringing to bear their wisdom so that they can move forward. BCP is also an area that it is used for. And with the ride hailing, essential workers are using the ride hailing services. So it's been used in many areas. In Chino City of the Nagano Prefecture, there was the Super City initiative that was ongoing, and they did not stop. If anything, they accelerated this initiative. I think it's a good case in point. From December, the beginning of December, it is going to start in Chino City. We're in the last preparations. So 4 or 5 vehicles will be used. Any citizen will be able to use the app as well as the web telephone to call shuttle vehicles or taxis or cars, and they'll be able to be transported in the area. And with the ride sharing, I'm sure that the further efficiency can be obtained. Therefore, for the citizens, it will become more convenient and the utilization will increase. Therefore, I'm sure that the fiscal situation of the government will also be improved.
I have a question that comes to my mind. At the time of Corona, Nagano is accelerating the vision of super city to improve the efficiency. So that could be a positive change after coronavirus. But in building super city, the way of using smart mobility to meet the needs of citizens, have you had discussion? Has there been any changes made in the discussion? Oh yes, we've had multiple discussion occasions. In the case of Chino City, once you introduce digital transportation systems, even if a disaster occurs and the local transportation is disrupted, you will be able to identify exactly what roads are still open, not blocked. School buses included. All of the buses can be digitalized and distribute the transportation resources to meet the needs of emergency, providing free of charge transportation methods. And at the time of Corona, essential workers and medical workers should be able to have access to the transportation, again, free of charge. We can actually change that system on that same day, immediately. That's the secondary benefit.
Thank you very much. So key word would be inclusion, I think. Well, we are pressed for time, but I'd like to ask Mr. Saji, likewise, at this time of coronavirus, have you had any new discoveries, realizations? We are working on autonomous buses. Many of the municipal government officers come to have a trial run. This bus accommodates 11 people. We are operating with smaller number of people, 5 to 6, to make sure that we have social distance kept. So there is the social demand. We were trying to maximize the efficiency conventionally, but it's been completely changed. We are working on autonomous driving. I think buses should be the first vehicles because the destination, the time of transportation, all of these needs can be covered because buses can meet the maximum common denomination. But the municipal government wants to have very efficient fleet operation to be able to operate buses 24 hours around the clock to avoid the dense concentration of people. In the past, we wanted to manage the resource distribution depending on the peak time of the day, but we are now changing that to off-peak management. That's the new discovery. Peak management to off-peak management. It's a major shift. It's a very easy to understand example of change. The additional question I have, as I mentioned earlier, if you look at overseas market, autonomous vehicle development has been stalled in many places. The members of MOBI, especially in North America, due to the city being locked down, the need of social distance, they are not able to carry out the public road demonstration. But as you can see, in Osaka, the demonstration is already underway. So in terms of the development of autonomous driving, there has been impact of the coronavirus. But
this risk, can it be turned to opportunities? Again, has there been a new discovery in terms of the business? Yes, it's a very nice way of saying that, turning the risk into an opportunity. Navi Alma, the French-made bus, in order to run this, we have to have map creation. This was the black box technology belonging to Navia, but we actually visited France. We had to come back and quarantine ourselves for 2 weeks, but we were able to understand that technology of map creation. In other words, we have road traffic flow of Japan and the movement of people. We have to create the map, design the map. And this map creation has been completed. Yes, coronavirus actually suppressed the movements of people, but we have been able to obtain this technology of map creation, meaning that we will be able to develop autonomous driving that is uniquely designed for Japan. So that is something that we want to enhance. We were actually took this as an opportunity. We have much less number of foreigners entering Japan, and likewise, there aren't many people moving overseas. But locally, you can develop this autonomous driving car that can be introduced globally. So that's exactly what Boldly is doing. I need to move quickly. I was planning to ask another question, but it may take a long time, so I would try to wrap up my summary.
Now, having listened to this discussion, I think there are two key takeaways. One is rather technical. I think it's a human-centric design. With that, the next generation mobility can be established, and I think this movement is being increasingly expedited. So the community needs are what we have to listen to, and there are more time spent listening to the community needs. Therefore, when we consider people transportation, there is more insight to be gained in terms of mobility usage. This has been considered even before COVID-19, but more insight are being gained as a result of COVID-19. The second takeaway is that the difficulties can lead to opportunities. I don't know if this can be said, but as a result of COVID-19, for the regional areas and had opportunities that have come to the fore. And now people are listening to the needs of the local areas. Therefore, we are in a better position to pursue next generation mobility. Now, in the corona age, with corona, there could be lockdowns, or there could be a constraint in terms of movement of people. So, smart city and mobility, which is uniquely Japanese, can be promoted under the new government, promoting digitalization. I believe that uniquely Japanese business can emerge, which can be expanded globally. I think that was the message, key takeaways from the two panelists. The time has come to bring this panel discussion to a close. Nishijima-san, Saji-san, thank you very much for your participation today. Thank you very much. Mr. Ballinger, Mr. Saji, Mr. Nishijima, and Mr. Fukao, thank you very much.